made a Morty guide about a week ago, and after playing even more with this character, there is a lot of things that I didn't touch on in that guide that I really want to talk about in this video. First up, for perks. This is a bad part about Morty, is there is really no correct option here because most of these perks are completely useless for this character. I'm gonna be real. Extra Fleeb Juice, I would probably stay away from just because it's so conditional, and the fully charged Plumbus is really something you're only going to be doing against certain characters like Wonder Woman and when you're trying to edge guard, so I would not use this ability. More Than Just a Hammer is good for 2v2s when things are getting really chaotic and you just want to swing around and most likely hit someone because there's so many people on the stage at once. Oh, that's still Grenade, while probably Morty's best perk, I wouldn't say that it is a definitive best option because the grenade's range is still so small even after using this perk. The perk really doesn't help much with the grenade's hitbox, so this perk isn't all that. I mean, it is okay. Obviously, you want to have a bigger hitbox with the grenade, but I don't know if it's very significant to the point where you have to use this perk. Well-rounded is decent, but Morty's problem is not particularly doing damage, it's just finishing the job, getting the elimination, so I don't know that this is going to help you that much. Me personally, I would go between oh, that's still a grenade or well-rounded. I wouldn't choose these two, but if you feel comfortable choosing these two, if you like this hammer perk, which I'm sure a lot of people do, then feel free to use it. But what is definitive is I really think that you should go snowball effect here. I don't think any of these other perks are significant enough to warrant not using snowball effect. Morty is so small, slippery, and fast that I would definitely go with the 5% increased base movement speed. This is going to help the character out a lot in my opinion, especially when you're trying to do your forward air, which we will touch on later. And then finally, there's a few good options here. You can go Pugilist, you can go Armor Crush, or you can go Second Wind Beneath Your Wings. Me personally, I like to go Pugilist for the melee attacks deal increased damage. Let's talk about Morty's moves and when you should use them. Starting off with his up special. His up special is going to spawn this UFO, which obviously makes Morty have one of the best recoveries in the game. You can use this defensively to get back on the stage, or you can even use it offensively to try to carry your opponent into the skybox. Next up, we have his side special, which is also going to help his already good recovery, because if you get hit while you are spawning this portal and the portal is off of cooldown, you are going to have armor, so that is going to prevent you from getting spiked, or if you're playing a Wonder Woman, from getting forward aired. I hate Wonder Woman, you are going to find that out in this guide. Next up, we have his down special. If your opponent is KO'd in 2v2s, it will bring them back to where you created this copy of yourself. In solos, however, this move is borderline useless. Yes, you can use it for getting super aggressive when your opponent is off stage, but it does take a minute to actually retreat to where you created the clone, so if you're down here, you are probably just going to die before you get teleported to where you created that clone. And it's extra useless because if your opponent gets back on stage, they can obviously just target where you are going to teleport, whether you like it or not. Morty's neutral special spawns a grenade, which has a very small hitbox, but you can blow it up with your neutral attack to do 10 damage. Furthermore, you can hit this grenade into your opponent to do 5 damage, and if you blow it up after hitting it into them, you are going to do 18 damage. You can also use your side special while grounded to break this grenade into 2. The main use of this is throwing the grenade and then hitting your opponent with the mud wall, and then once they're convinced that you are going to try to hit them with the mud wall, they will run at you while you are vulnerable doing this move, and instead of hitting them, you just want to hit the grenade and it will punish them for trying to punish you. Morty's neutral attack, his laser, is by far his most important move. We will talk more about it later. You then have his down tilt, which you can use once to use in combos like this, and then you can hold it down to break armor for characters like Wonder Woman, Superman, etc. If they have armored up moves, you can use this Plumbus to get rid of it. You then have his down air, which is going to combo into his up air most of the time, and then you have his side air, which is an extremely good move because after you hit it once, you can pull out this axe for a follow-up, and it does a lot of damage. This is going to be your main move for attacking in neutral. We're going to talk more about these strings later because they are very important, but we have forward tilt, forward tilt, forward tilt, which pulls out this hammer, or we have forward tilt, neutral attack, which pulls out this whip. The whip is more important than the hammer. We will talk about both in a minute. As I said before, the ray gun is one of Morty's most important moves, and I did not talk enough about this move in my last video. First of all, if you throw a grenade and activate it like we talked about earlier, your ray gun does not lose its cooldown. However, if you shoot a grenade and you are in the air and you activate that grenade, your ray gun loses its cooldown. I have no idea why. This should not be in the game. You should not lose your cooldown off of activating a grenade while you're in the sky because that is one of the main ways Morty is going to control neutral. However, it's in the game. What can you do do about it. You need to know about that though. You need to pay attention to that because Morty pretty much depends on his ray gun being off of cooldown because it is how you are going to get most of your kills and most of your combos. If you don't know this, when your ray gun is off of cooldown, it is going to stun your opponent, allowing you to do combos. And if your ray gun is off of cooldown, don't even use it because it does a measly 1 damage. When we talk about kill confirms near the end of this video, I will talk about the whiffed ray gun shot and the 2 snakes coming out. But yeah, that's pretty much all it's useful for, is getting kills. Playing neutral with Morty, if you want to do it successfully, relies on using every single one of his tools. Obviously, when the ray gun is recharged, you are going to get a combo. We will talk about that later. But when that ray gun is on cooldown, what do you have to do? Well, you have to do everything. First of all, you want to rely heavily on his forward air. This is an extremely good move. It has great range. It does amazing damage. Most of the time when you're looking to make contact with your opponent in neutral, whether he's in the air or on the ground, you want to rely on that forward air. You also want to use your grenades. You not only want to hit the grenades into your opponent, but you want to blow them up as well. You also want to combine the grenades with the forward air to do this jab string on top of the grenades because it'll make your sequence go a lot faster, as I'm about to show you. You want to use his down air, you want to use his up air because they combo into each other. This is how you are going to get most of your eliminations. You want to use everything. You want to use the mud wall if you see your opponent approaching you on the ground, and you want to mix them up with the grenades to confuse them and even duplicate your grenades. Playing neutral with Morty definitely does rely on using every single one of his tools. Now, this is the entire reason why I am making a completely different video, because I told you guys what you want to do is stun gun into down air into up air. And this is so far from the truth because, as I said in that video, I was not using this whip move nearly as much as I should. This is by far one of Morty's best tools, and what I'm about to show you is something that is very reliable, that is going to kill at early percentages as well as just do a sickening amount of damage. What you want to do if there's enough stage room is stun gun, forward tilt, plumbus, forward, neutral attack, down air, up air. And this is going to do an absolutely ridiculous 42 damage. Not only that, but the whip move is your most reliable kill option. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But yeah, as you could imagine, that also works with just your forward tilt in general. If you just go forward tilt, bam, bam, bam. If there's not enough stage room, obviously you're not going to be able to get the down air into up air. And you're probably better off just going with an up air there because it is going to inflict burn. You also have your forward air into laser into blah 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 blah. Pretty much anytime you are able to do this jab string into this hammer move, you want to just go with the whip instead because you are going to get an entire combo off of that. I mean, just watch this. That's just off of a forward tilt, and not to mention you can do that into plumbus as well. So it's just bam 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 bam. I mean, this guy's combo game is incredibly easy to do, incredibly rewarding, and I was completely overlooking it just because I was too stubborn to admit that this whip move is something that I was sleeping on. Now, Morty is still a bottom tier because of his lack of options to get the elimination. However, now that I have really incorporated this whip move into my arsenal, I fully understand that this is going to be your main tactic of getting kills, is going to be forward tilt, neutral attack, up air. And that is going to work at low percentages. I mean, not particularly low percentages. Obviously, it's only going to work at like 115, but that is still a reliable way of getting an elimination off of a jab. Forward tilt, plumbus, forward tilt is not going to work at this percentage. However, stun gun, forward tilt, whip, up air is going to work, and it's going to kill relatively early. I think this is going to kill at about 100 off of a stun gun hit. It's very reliable, man, and this is going to be your main way of getting eliminations most of the time. So, of course, let's talk about down air into up air. It's going to be a decent option still. However, it's extremely unreliable because, simply put, you are not going to get the knockback angle a lot of the time unless you drop down with the opponent. See, if I just try to hit the down air into up air, he's going to bounce very weird. But if I drop down with him, then I'm going to get the up air. But sometimes what's going to happen when you try to do that is you're going to do the down air and then you're going to shoot out the upwards gun for 1 damage, which is absolutely going to mess you up and probably lose you a stock if you guys are both high health. You then have the grenade, which is a pretty solid kill move. I mean, it doesn't kill too early, but it is pretty solid. And then, as I said we'd talk about later, we have the whiff stun gun hit. It comes out with 2 snakes. Now, obviously, your stun gun is an extremely valuable way of killing when your opponent is at a high percentage. And when I would recommend you use this move is when you knock your opponent off stage, because if you shoot the snakes and they are trying to recover and one of those snakes hit them, it is going to be the end of them, especially if they're at 100%. It's obviously a pretty solid kill move, but the hitbox is just so small that you're going to whiff it a lot of the time, so don't even try to do it unless you can afford to whiff it. Another move I didn't talk about in my other guide is his dash attack. And no, it's not the best kill move. It is an option, but like as you can see, it doesn't do a ridiculous amount of knockback. If your opponent is at like 140, I guess give it a shot, but I mean, come on, man. It's not the greatest. Mud wall into up air is going to be a good way to secure an elimination. However, I do not believe that this is a true combo. I would love to test it on the CPU right now, but these CPUs are completely broken. If you set them to air dodge after hit stun, they're simply not going to do it. But just judging off of basic animation knowledge, no, it's not a true combo, but it's going to be a pretty reliable way to get an elimination sometimes, just because your opponent is usually not going to air dodge. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you out, leave a like and subscribe. See y'all later.